Every time a new AI model drops, you see the same ritual. A leaderboard goes up. A score goes on it. 93% on reasoning. 99% on math. Number one overall. And you think, okay, this one must be the smartest. You share the screenshot. You update your subscription. You trust the number. But what if that number was rigged? Not approximately wrong. Not slightly misleading. Rigged. Because in April 2025, researchers caught one of the biggest AI companies in the world doing exactly that. There's a platform that used to be called Chatbot Arena, now just called Arena. It works like this. You type a prompt. 2 anonymous models answer it. You pick the one you like better. Millions of people have voted. The results get turned into ELO ratings like chess rankings. Simple, trusted, transparent. And in 2025, Meta released Llama 4 Maverick. On the Arena, it landed at number 2 overall. ELO score 1417. Celebration, press coverage. Meta catches up to the frontier. But the model on the leaderboard wasn't the model you could download. Meta had privately tested 27 different variants before release. They submitted only the best one, a special version tuned to be verbose, enthusiastic, and persuasive. The version designed to win votes, not to be useful. When researchers later tested the actual downloadable model, it scored around 1370. That's not number 2. That's number 32. And it wasn't just Meta. The same study found Google tested 10 private variants before its official Gemini submission. Amazon did it too. The researchers estimated that cherry-picking from just 10 private runs inflates your ELO by about 100 points. That's enough to jump 20 or 30 spots on the leaderboard. And by January 2026, Arena itself had raised funding at a $1.7 billion valuation. The platform that was supposed to be a neutral referee had become a billion-dollar business. The leaderboard everyone trusted was a curated highlight reel. So the top students were cheating, but what about the exam itself? The Arena scandal isn't actually the real problem. It's a symptom. The real problem is older. It's an idea from 1975 called Goodhart's Law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Think about standardized testing. The S8 was designed to measure how prepared a student is for college, but once admissions started depending on SAT scores, an entire industry sprang up to teach students how to game the SAT without actually preparing them for college. The test stopped measuring what it was supposed to measure. AI benchmarks have the exact same problem, except it's happening faster. MMLU is the biggest AI benchmark in the world. 57 subjects, from abstract algebra to world religions. When it launched in 2020, GPT-3 scored about 44%. Today, the best models score over 90%. Some top 92. Sounds like incredible progress. But here's the thing. About 6.5% of MMLU questions have verified errors, wrong answer keys, ambiguous phrasing, multiple correct options. The ceiling of the test itself is broken, and researchers found that GPT-4 can guess the exact masked wrong answer on 57% of MMLU questions. Not the right answer, the wrong answer, the specific wrong answer the test makers put in the answer key. It hasn't learned the subjects. It's memorized the test. And MMLU isn't special. This happens to every benchmark. Watch the pattern. MNIST, handwritten digits, took over a decade to fully saturate. ImageNet, object recognition, about 6 years to superhuman. Glue for language understanding, about 12 months. Superglue, about 14 months. GSM 8K, grade school math. Top models now score 99%, but when researchers created a clean version with no contaminated examples, some models' accuracy dropped 13%. They weren't solving the problems. They'd seen the answers. swe-bench, real-world coding, went from 4% to 72% in under 2 years. HumanEval, code generation. The top scores are in the 97 to 98% range. Each benchmark breaks faster than the last. What took over a decade for MNIST now takes 12 months. So if the benchmarks are broken, what actually happens when these models leave the exam hall and try to do real work? Let's start with code, because that's the category where benchmark scores look the most impressive. CodeRabbit analyzed 470 open source pull requests. 320 written with AI assistance, 150 written by humans alone. The AI code had 1.7 times more issues per pull request, more logic errors, more style violations, and 2.7 times more cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. The model that scores 97% on HumanEval, the coding benchmark everyone cites, ships code with nearly triple the security holes in the real world. It gets worse when you zoom out. A new benchmark called swe-bench tested whether AI coding agents can maintain a codebase over time. Not just fix one bug, but make changes week after week without breaking things that already worked. 75% of agents broke previously working code. The only models that cleared 50% were in the Claude Opus family. Every other model failed the majority of the time. And it's not just code. Look at medicine. In controlled lab settings, AI can score over 90% on diagnosis, but a meta-analysis of 83 real clinical studies found average accuracy of just 52%. Nearly half the performance evaporates when conditions match the messiness of actual hospitals instead of clean labs. 42% of companies abandon most of their AI projects entirely, according to S&P Global. The models that ace every test keep failing the parts that actually matter. The benchmarks measure performance on tests. The real world doesn't work like a test. So is there anything out there that actually works? A test that can't be gamed, can't be memorized, and actually measures something real? Maybe. François Chollet, the creator of Keras, has been arguing since 2019 that we're measuring the wrong thing entirely. Most benchmarks test what he calls crystallized knowledge, facts you've memorized, patterns you've seen before. A model that's read every textbook ever written will ace MMLU. But that doesn't mean it can think. Chollet's argument is simple. Intelligence isn't what you know. It's how fast you can figure out something you've never seen before. That's the idea behind arc-agi. Each puzzle is a unique visual grid. No language, no domain knowledge. Just, here are 3 examples of a pattern. What comes next? You've never seen this exact puzzle before. Neither has the model. You can't memorize your way through it. The original ARC was partially solved. Early competition winners hit about 20%. Specialized systems with expensive compute eventually pushed that to about 55%. So in March 2026, Chollet released arc-agi 3, harder, interactive, no instructions, no stated goal. The agent gets dropped into an environment and has to explore it, discover the rules on its own, and figure out what to do, like being dropped into a video game with no tutorial. Humans solve these at about 100%. Median time, about 7.5 minutes. The best AI model in the world, Gemini 3.1 Pro, scores 0.37%. That's not 37%, that's 0.37, practically zero. That's the gap between memorizing answers to tests someone else wrote and actually figuring out something new. And no amount of benchmark gaming, no number of private runs, no test memorization can close it. So the next time you see a leaderboard, 93%, 99%, number 1 overall, ask yourself 3 things. First, is this a public test the model could have trained on? Second, is this a score the company chose to publish out of dozens of private runs they didn't show you? And third, does this score actually predict whether the model will work for what I need it to do? Because the benchmarks aren't measuring intelligence. They're measuring how good companies have gotten at taking tests. The scores look incredible. They are incredible at test taking. But the one test that actually resists gaming, where every problem is brand new, where memorization gets you nothing? AI scores 0.37%. The smartest AI in the world can ace every exam you throw at it. It just can't figure out a puzzle a 5-year-old solves in seconds.